This is just kind of a practice to get you ready to do that and kind of get used to how fast the machine moves and how to do the different things. The second sewing machine practice sheet looks like this, kind of like a maze looking. What you're going to do, and I'm going to start halfway down the line, you'll put it in down here and sew down this straight line. And this is to practice pivoting. Pivoting is when you put the needle down in the paper and you keep going. So I've got a corner here. I'm going to sew down to the corner. And when I get to the corner, I'm going to slow down and turn the hand wheel so the needle is in the paper down in the corner. And then I lift the presser foot up and I turn the paper. This is how you'll pivot or turn your corners when you make anything with corner, like your pillowcase, or if you're sewing your quilt corners will be the pivoted. And if you're sewing your pants, if you're in FCS2, there's actually 2 pivots you'll do when you do some of your finish work. So then we're going to go down this second line. And when we get to the next corner, we'll pivot again. So we'll slow down a little bit, take the hand wheel, turn it so it's down in the paper, and then pivot and keep going. So you'll do that until you get all the way through to the center of the maze. The next one is a circle, and I'll admit the circles are the hardest to do. And the reason they're hard is you have to be really good about not looking at the needle, but using that notch in the presser foot to kind of guide you and turn the paper. If you look at the needle, you're going to be turning it too late. So you need to turn the paper when you're actually on that guide. So I'm going to put it in, and since it's a circle, it doesn't really matter where you start. So I'm going to start right here. And you're going to want to just make sure this line is always lined up with the notch. So you can kind of go slow. You're just going to want to always line the line with the notch in the foot. Don't worry about where the needle's hitting the paper. And if you ignore the needle and line the line up with that notch, you should get a pretty good curve. So it should line up really well with that circle. The smaller the circle, the harder it's going to get. So you're going to just want to go slower as the closer you go in. When you're sewing on these papers, one thing you need to keep in mind is don't make the stitch so small that their needle is hitting really close together. If you do that, you're going to end up tearing, when you sew this circle, the whole circle is going to fall out like you cookie cuttered it out of the middle of the page. So you need to make sure you read the directions and you use that medium stitch length. So otherwise you're going to mess your paper up and you only get one of these. So I do have them posted on the Google website if you have to print some more and do some more of it. Or you could take a piece of paper and your own notebook paper and trace this design if you want. If you really mess up and you need to do another one. But everyone just gets one copy. So make sure that you do a good job of practicing. When you're done with those 3 practice sheets, you then have the In the Right Direction page. In order to do this page, you've got to actually do this math in this top box, which you can do while you're waiting for a sewing machine, while someone else, when you're trading on and off. After you do that, you're going to do the dot to dot, following the directions, and you'll end up with a picture. That picture then I want you to sew in, and in the middle of the picture there will be a big empty spot, and I'd like you to put your initials. So after your initials are written in there, I want you to draw with the machine, sew on the lines from the dot to dot, and then also I want you to sew your initials in the middle. So that'll just give you a little bit more practice of turning corners and kind of doing curves if you've got an S or a C or an O or something in your name. So that'll kind of just give you a little bit more practice on the machine. So by the end of this week, you should have these 4 practice papers done. Once you finish that, or actually in between finishing that, you're going to also be cutting your pillowcase out, which you're going to watch a video on how the whole entire pillowcase goes together in a little bit. And I'll give you, and you have written directions in your packet on how to do that. Now the fabric you bought is for both your pillowcase and your quilt. So